what if the Christmas season, with its twinkling lights and jolly traditions, hides a past drenched in ancient rituals, chaos, and dark homage to forgotten gods? The evidence is undeniable. What we call Christmas is rooted in pagan festivals that celebrated anything but the birth of Jesus Christ. In ancient Rome, December 17th to 23rd was dedicated to Saturnalia, a festival to honor Saturn, the god of time and chaos. This wasn't a cozy family gathering, it was a week-long descent into madness. Social hierarchies crumbled as slaves became masters, anarchy reigned, and acts of public debauchery were not just permitted, they were expected. Ritual sacrifices and wild feasts blurred the lines between celebration and sinister reverence. Is it any wonder that this chaotic homage to Saturn, symbolic of destruction and rebirth, would eventually be sanitized into what we now call holiday cheer? Meanwhile, in the icy north, the Norse people celebrated Yule, a time to honor Odin, their enigmatic all-father. Odin, described as a bearded figure who flew through the skies on an eight-legged horse, seems an eerie prototype for Santa Claus. But Odin wasn't doling out toys. He was a god of war, wisdom, and death, surveying the mortal realm during this dark season. The burning of Yule logs, hanging of wreaths, and festive feasts. All rituals steeped in attempts to appease wandering spirits and ensure survival through the harsh winter months. How did these pagan traditions become entangled with Christianity? The early church faced a daunting challenge, converting deeply ingrained pagan societies. Rather than erasing these festivals, they absorbed them. December 25th was declared the official date of Jesus' birth, not because of any biblical basis, but because it aligned with the culmination of pagan solstice celebrations. By blending pagan customs with Christian symbolism, the church made the transition more palatable to the masses. But here's where it gets darker. Could this strategic merging of faiths have been more than just a conversion tactic? Some scholars suggest that retaining these rites, even cloaked in Christian garb, allowed the underlying pagan energies to persist. The imagery of evergreen trees, the giving of gifts, and the feasting may seem innocent, but their origins were rituals of homage to ancient, often bloodthirsty, deities. December 25th, revered as the day of Jesus Christ's birth, stands on shaky ground. The Bible, the cornerstone of Christianity, provides no evidence to back this date. In fact, historical and biblical clues suggest Jesus was likely born in spring or fall. The idea of shepherds watching over their flocks in the open fields during December's bitter cold doesn't add up. So why this specific day? The answer lies in ancient pagan traditions, political strategy, and unsettling coincidences. The date wasn't chosen at random, it was deeply symbolic to the ancient world. December 25th coincided with Dies Natalis Solis Invicti, the birthday of the unconquered sun, a Roman festival celebrating the sun god Mithras. Mithras, a deity revered by both Romans and Persians, was a figure of immense power and mystery. According to legend, Mithras was born from solid rock, emerging fully formed, surrounded by shepherds and animals, a narrative suspiciously close to the nativity story of Jesus. Followers of Mithraism celebrated this divine birth on December 25th, just after the winter solstice, marking the return of longer days and the sun's rebirth. The parallels between Mithras and Christ don't end there. Mithraism was a dominant religion in the Roman Empire during the early centuries of Christianity. Its rituals, including communal meals and salvation promises, bore striking similarities to emerging Christian practices. This overlap raises a haunting question: was the adoption of December 25th as Christmas a calculated effort to merge the worship of Mithras with that of Jesus, easing the transition for pagan converts? The Church's motives were pragmatic, even Machiavellian. By aligning the birth of Christ with existing solstice celebrations, Christian leaders could replace pagan festivities without entirely erasing them. Publicly, it was a stroke of genius. Practically, it was a lie. Pagan traditions like feasting, gift-giving, and decorating evergreen trees were co-opted and rebranded as Christian customs, creating a seamless facade for a fractured truth. But this wasn't merely about convenience. Mithraic worship was a direct competitor to Christianity. Mithras' association with the sun, rebirth, and divine salvation posed a threat to the Church's efforts to dominate the religious landscape. By subsuming Mithraic traditions under the guise of Christianity, the Church effectively erased the competition, but at what cost? Some scholars argue that this strategic blending allowed remnants of pagan energy and symbolism to persist, lurking beneath the surface of what we now call Christmas. The Church never publicly admitted this borrowed lineage, leaving centuries of believers in the dark. Instead, it buried Mithras beneath layers of Christian imagery, ensuring his once vibrant worship faded into obscurity. But the shadows of his influence remain. The Santa Claus we adore today, a jolly, red-suited, and perpetually cheerful, is far from the benign figure he appears to be. Beneath the surface of his merry image lies a tangled web of folklore, paganism, and occult symbolism that evolved over centuries, turning a saintly figure into something much more enigmatic and unsettling. Santa's story begins with Saint Nicholas, a 4th century bishop from Myra, modern-day Turkey, renowned for his acts of generosity. He was a protector of children and the poor, inspiring legends of secret gift-giving that would later morph into modern Christmas traditions. However, as the Saint Nicholas legend spread across Europe, his persona began to absorb elements of darker, pre-Christian traditions. In the Alpine regions of Germany and Austria, Krampus, a terrifying half-goat, half-demon creature, emerged as Saint Nicholas's sinister counterpart. While Saint Nicholas rewarded good children, Krampus had a far grimmer task, punishing the naughty. Armed with chains, birch branches, and sometimes even a sack for dragging disobedient children to the underworld, Krampus was a literal nightmare come to life. These folkloric elements are a far cry from the sanitized Santa Claus seen in department stores. In the Netherlands, the figure of Sinterklaas was accompanied by another unsettling companion, Zwarte Piet, Black Pete. While often framed as a helper, Zwarte Piet's darker roots tie him to shadowy spirits or demons, representing an unnerving duality in the Sinterklaas legend. These shadowy accompaniments suggest that the archetype of Santa Claus was never purely benevolent but always carried a hint of the otherworldly. Then there's the curious case of Santa's reindeer. Their origins can be traced back to Odin, the Norse All-Father, whose ghostly wild hunt swept across the winter skies during Yule. Odin, riding his 8-legged horse Sleipnir, was said to lead a supernatural procession of spirits, striking both awe and terror into those below. Over time, Sleipnir was replaced by reindeer, but the eerie connection between Santa's flying sleigh and Odin's spectral hunt is hard to ignore. Even Santa's practice of leaving gifts for children mirrors the offerings left for Odin in hopes of securing his favor. By the time Santa Claus crossed the Atlantic and found a home in American culture, his image underwent yet another transformation. In the 19th century, Clement Clarke Moore's poem "'Twas the Night Before Christmas" and later illustrations by Thomas Nast cemented the image of Santa as a rotund, jolly figure. However, the ultimate shift came in the 1930s, when Coca-Cola adopted Santa for its advertising campaigns, dressing him in the now iconic red suit. This commercialization stripped away much of Santa's folkloric complexity, leaving only the cheerful veneer we recognize today. But some scholars argue that traces of Santa's darker origins persist. His ability to know who's naughty or nice echoes omniscient, godlike qualities, while his chimney descent nods to ancient shamanic practices of spirit travel. The enduring imagery of Santa, with his supernatural abilities and nocturnal journey, suggests that he is more than a benign figure. Could Santa be a modern mask for ancient, pagan archetypes, or even something more sinister? The seemingly innocent act of decorating a Christmas tree carries a history far more mysterious and potentially unsettling than most people realize. Its origins are steeped in ancient pagan rites, occult symbolism, and rituals that sought to connect with otherworldly forces. Each ornament, light, and ritualistic gesture may be echoing ceremonies that predate Christianity by thousands of years. The tradition of bringing evergreen trees indoors dates back to pagan solstice celebrations. These trees, which remained green during the harshest winters, were seen as symbols of life, fertility, and resilience. Pagans revered them as sacred objects, believing they held magical properties capable of protecting homes from malevolent spirits. The Druids, a powerful Celtic priesthood, were particularly drawn to evergreen trees, viewing them as spiritual gateways. They adorned these trees with offerings, food, gold, and symbolic trinkets to gain favor from unseen forces and ensure survival through the dark winter months. The act of decorating trees became ritualized, often tied to the belief that spirits resided in or around these sacred objects. Each item placed on the tree, whether an ornament, candle, or offering, was thought to carry meaning. The intention wasn't simply aesthetic, it was an invitation to higher powers for protection and prosperity. Over time, these practices persisted, even as the world shifted toward Christianity. The early church, rather than eradicating such customs, absorbed them into its own celebrations, disguising their origins under Christian symbolism. One of the most conspicuous elements of modern Christmas trees is the star perched on top. While often interpreted as the Star of Bethlehem, its deeper roots may lie in ancient occult practices. In many pagan cultures, stars symbolized celestial alignments or pentagrams, powerful occult symbols tied to rituals and divination. These representations were believed to channel energy or serve as protective talismans. Placing such a symbol atop a tree could signify a connection between the earthly and the divine, or, perhaps, something far more esoteric. The lights on the tree add another layer of intrigue. Originally, candles were placed on trees, symbolizing the fire of life and offering illumination during the year's darkest days. Yet firelight was also used in pagan rituals to ward off spirits or guide them to the offerings left beneath the tree. The modern shift to electric lights hasn't entirely severed this symbolic thread. Each twinkling bulb may still evoke the ancient desire to commune with or repel supernatural forces. Even the act of gathering around the tree and placing gifts beneath it mimics older traditions. In Norse mythology, offerings were left at the base of the Yggdrasil, the world tree, to honor the gods. This ancient practice of leaving gifts at the roots of a sacred tree survives today, albeit rebranded as a cheerful family tradition. The Christmas we celebrate today, a dazzling festival of lights, music, and consumerism, is not the organic evolution of holiday cheer, but a meticulously crafted cultural phenomenon. Behind its glittering facade lies a deeper, darker agenda that some believe is designed to manipulate and control on a global scale. What if the modern Christmas isn't just about joy and giving, but about programming the masses into a state of blind conformity? In the 19th century, as industrial capitalism gained momentum, corporations saw the untapped potential of the holiday season. The rise of mass production allowed for the creation of consumer goods on an unprecedented scale, and Christmas was reinvented as a celebration of gift-giving, not out of spiritual generosity, but to drive consumption. Retailers like Macy's and brands such as Coca-Cola didn't just sell products, they sold the idea of what Christmas should be. Santa Claus himself, in his now iconic red suit, became a corporate mascot thanks to Coca-Cola's relentless marketing campaigns in the 1930s. But beneath the surface of this commercial transformation lies a more insidious theory. Conspiracy theorists argue that the global obsession with Christmas wasn't just about profits, it was about creating a hive-mind consumer culture. By tying happiness and togetherness to the act of buying, the elite effectively trained society to equate spending with love. This cycle of debt and materialism keeps populations dependent, distracted, and easier to control. The psychological manipulation doesn't stop at consumer habits. Christmas employs sensory triggers, colors, sounds, and imagery that some claim put people into a trance-like state. The red and green palette, festive jingles, and sparkling decorations are not just cheerful, they're calculated tools. Psychological studies have shown that holiday music can evoke nostalgia and lower critical thinking, while the repetitive nature of Christmas advertising reinforces behaviors like overspending and compulsive buying. It's a carefully orchestrated sensory overload designed to lull people into compliance. Even the act of celebrating together can reinforce conformity. Families and communities participate in the same rituals year after year, creating a social pressure to comply with the norms of the season. Failure to participate, whether by skipping gift exchanges, decorations, or gatherings, can result in feelings of guilt or ostracization, further entrenching the cycle of compliance. Could this be more than just a clever marketing strategy? Some theorists suggest that the hyper-commercialization of Christmas is part of a larger elite agenda. By funneling society's energy into a single season of consumption, the ruling powers not only reap economic benefits but also reinforce a culture of obedience and distraction. The holiday spirit becomes a convenient diversion, keeping people focused on superficial joys while ignoring systemic issues like inequality and exploitation. The eeriest aspect of this theory is the global nature of Christmas. From Tokyo to New York, from malls in Dubai to villages in South America, the imagery and rituals remain strikingly uniform. How did a holiday rooted in specific religious and cultural contexts become a worldwide phenomenon? Could this universal adoption of a single, consumer-driven narrative be a form of mass mind control, subtly ensuring that entire populations remain distracted and docile? Every twinkling light, every catchy jingle, every insistence to buy now may be more than a seasonal tradition. It might be the manifestation of a carefully engineered spell, cast on a global scale. The beloved symbols of Christmas, seemingly innocent and joyful, may conceal a far darker history. From candy canes to wreaths and stockings, these iconic traditions are often said to carry hidden meanings rooted in ancient occult practices and pagan rituals. Take the candy cane, for instance. Its cheerful red and white stripes are often explained as representing the purity of Christ, white, and his blood shed for humanity, red. But some conspiracy theorists suggest an older, more chilling origin. The blood-red stripes might harken back to pagan blood offerings, ritual sacrifices made to appease gods during the harsh winter months. The cane's hooked shape, while interpreted as a shepherd's crook, could also resemble tools used in ancient rites or, disturbingly, the scythe of Saturn, the Roman god tied to chaos and death. The wreath, another cherished Christmas symbol, is traditionally seen as a sign of eternal life, with its circular shape representing unending love and continuity. Yet this very circle bears a striking resemblance to the Ouroboros, an ancient occult symbol of a serpent devouring its own tail. The Ouroboros has long been associated with the cycle of life, death, and rebirth, a theme central to pagan winter solstice rituals. The evergreen materials used in wreaths, revered for their year-round vitality, were often linked to the magical properties of warding off evil or invoking prosperity. Consider the tradition of hanging stockings over the fire. On the surface, it seems a simple, childlike gesture tied to tales of Saint Nicholas. However, burning stockings or leaving offerings by the hearth aligns eerily with ancient fire rituals, where sacrifices were burned to honor or appease gods and spirits. The hearth was considered a sacred space in many pagan cultures, a gateway between the physical and spiritual realms. By placing stockings above the fire, are we unknowingly echoing rites meant to communicate with unseen forces? Even the Christmas tree, often described as a symbol of life and light, carries hints of pagan ritual. Decorating trees with shiny baubles resembles ancient practices of hanging offerings on sacred trees to appease deities or protect against malevolent spirits. The act of placing gifts beneath the tree mirrors the Norse tradition of leaving sacrifices at the base of Yggdrasil, the mythical world tree. Finally, there's the star atop the tree, frequently said to represent the Star of Bethlehem that guided the Magi. Yet, in many occult traditions, stars carry dual meanings. Pentagrams, often disguised as simple star shapes, symbolize mystic power, protection, or the summoning of energies. The star's prominent placement at the tree's apex might be more than decorative, it could signal a connection between Earth and the celestial realms. What if Christmas isn't just a festive season, but a key component of a far-reaching global agenda designed to manipulate humanity? This final piece of the puzzle suggests that the true purpose of Christmas extends far beyond decorations and goodwill. Some conspiracy theorists argue that Christmas is a well-orchestrated distraction, one that steers humanity away from spiritual awakening and into a cycle of materialism, compliance, and ignorance. At its core, Christmas has been transformed into a spectacle of consumption. The emphasis on buying gifts, indulging in extravagant meals, and immersing oneself in the holiday sensory overload ensures that deeper, more reflective purposes are left forgotten. The ancient themes of light and rebirth, so central to the solstice celebrations from which Christmas borrowed, have been buried under layers of commercialism. While ancient cultures observed this time of year to meditate on cosmic cycles and their place in the universe, modern Christmas redirects that energy toward shopping malls, glittering lights, and endless social obligations. This shift didn't happen overnight. The process was gradual, beginning in the 19th century with the rise of industrial capitalism and culminating in today's globalized holiday economy. Retailers, corporations, and media have capitalized on Christmas as the ultimate marketing tool. But conspiracy theorists suggest that the transformation goes deeper than just economic gain. They believe it reflects a deliberate effort to keep humanity tethered to superficial concerns, preventing deeper reflection on existence, spirituality, and personal empowerment. The timing of Christmas is no accident. Aligning it with the winter solstice, a period historically marked by profound introspection and the renewal of spiritual energy, allowed the holiday to co-opt its powerful symbolism. The solstice has long been a time when ancient cultures believed the veil between worlds was thin, a moment to reconnect with the divine or tap into unseen forces. Instead, Christmas redirects this energy into consumerism and conformity, dulling the potential for spiritual awakening. Some theorists propose an even more chilling possibility that the traditions and symbols of Christmas are being used to harness ancient energies for purposes unknown to the public. From the charged power of evergreen trees and the symbolism of the star to rituals like exchanging gifts and gathering around the hearth, Christmas contains echoes of practices once believed to channel divine or supernatural forces. Could the widespread participation in these rituals, now cloaked in holiday cheer, be feeding into something larger? Consider the sheer scale of Christmas. It's celebrated worldwide, crossing cultural, religious, and geographical boundaries. The synchronization of millions of people engaging in similar rituals on the same date creates an unparalleled level of collective focus and energy. Some speculate that this mass participation generates a kind of global energy field, one that could be manipulated by those who understand its significance. While the public revels in the holiday spirit, what unseen powers might be benefiting from this annual outpouring of attention and intention? The manipulation doesn't stop at the rituals themselves. The sensory overload of Christmas, the bright lights, festive music, and endless advertisements may be part of a larger plan to keep humanity distracted. Psychological studies have shown that such overstimulation can reduce critical thinking and increase suggestibility. During the holiday season, people are bombarded with cues to buy, celebrate, and conform, all while their focus is drawn away from deeper questions about the nature of reality and their own purpose. Even the food and drink associated with Christmas might play a role in this grand design. Sugary treats, heavy meals, and alcohol all contribute to a sense of indulgence and lethargy, dulling the senses and reinforcing the cycle of distraction. Instead of engaging in meaningful reflection during this pivotal time of year, many are left fatigued, overstimulated, and financially drained by the end of the holiday season. At the heart of this theory lies a provocative question: what are we being distracted from? Ancient solstice celebrations were deeply connected to the cycles of nature, the cosmos, and personal transformation. They encouraged individuals to confront darkness, both literal and metaphorical, and embrace the return of light as an opportunity for growth. By turning this profound period into a commercial spectacle, are we being kept from accessing a deeper understanding of ourselves and the universe? Some theorists take this idea even further, suggesting that those in positions of power, whether they be corporations, governments, or secretive elites, deliberately use Christmas to maintain control over the masses. By fostering a culture of dependence on material goods and reinforcing social norms, they ensure that populations remain obedient, distracted, and divided. The emphasis on gift-giving, for example, perpetuates economic hierarchies and encourages debt, binding people to systems of control. Then there's the unsettling possibility that the symbols and rituals of Christmas still carry their original occult power. The widespread use of these symbols, stars, wreaths, trees, and lights, might be more than nostalgic tradition. In some esoteric belief systems, symbols act as portals of intention, focusing energy toward specific goals. If millions of people are unknowingly participating in these rituals, who or what is benefiting from this collective energy? The final and perhaps most haunting question is whether we will continue to celebrate Christmas as we always have. Knowing its origins, hidden meanings, and potential for manipulation, can we truly embrace the holiday without questioning its deeper implications? To reject Christmas entirely would mean stepping away from a deeply ingrained cultural tradition, risking alienation and societal disapproval. But to accept it without question may mean perpetuating a cycle of ignorance and compliance. Perhaps the most sinister aspect of Christmas is not its pagan roots, occult symbols, or commercial excess, but the possibility that it's a carefully constructed illusion, one designed to keep humanity from discovering its true potential. By focusing on external pleasures, gifts, parties, and decorations, we are steered away from introspection and spiritual awakening, ensuring that the status quo remains unchallenged. What you choose to believe and how you choose to celebrate may ultimately determine whether you break free from this cycle or continue to participate in a ritual that serves interests far beyond your own.